The date is February 15th, 2026, the South China Sea. There is live fire training going on the flight deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln. The Phalanx CIWS mounts follow and destroy drone targets that come in over open sea. Normal operations. Routine. Controlled. Then the secure line from the Pacific Fleet lights up on the bridge. New orders. Immediate action. Stop the exercise. Change the air wings configuration. Run to the Persian Gulf. Not next week. Not after the port. Now. If you want to know more about naval power and real-world military strategy, sign up for Navy Recon. Because this is when theology and consequence come together. There are 11 aircraft carriers in the U.S. Navy. That sounds like a margin on paper. In actuality, it's geometry. USS George Washington is forward deployed in Yokosuka, almost 3,000 miles in the wrong direction. USS Theodore Roosevelt has just finished being worked on. Systems are green, but they aren't in the right place. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the Navy's most modern carrier, is stuck in a conspicuous standoff off the coast of Venezuela. None of them move. Lincoln is on the move. Why send a Nimitz-Class hull out of the Pacific right when things are getting tense near Taiwan? Because the problem in the Middle East is real. It is from Iran. And it needs to be able to penetrate fifth-generation systems from day one. You look past the hull number to discover why Lincoln, USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, the fifth ship in the Nimitz-Class. It was built in 1989. Her motto was, "Shall not perish." Lincoln stayed at sea for 295 days in a row in 2020. No resets at the port, no cycle of relief. Operations that last. For instance, China's carriers have operational cycles that last about 90 days on average. The Admiral Kuznetsov from Russia hasn't done a real deployment in years. The HMS Queen Elizabeth from Britain works in 6-month cycles. So did Lincoln, and kept up the full sortie pace. That is important. Lincoln got a $3 billion refueling and complex overhaul, RCOH, from 2013 to 2017. In dry dock for 4 years. Removed reactor cores, electrical systems taken apart. Fiber optics are taking the place of copper. New designs for radar. Most importantly, she was the first Nimitz-Class carrier to be converted to support the F-35C Lightning II. Not able to work together. Improved. Jet blast deflectors that are stronger. Classified planning areas built into the hull. Network architecture built to work with stealth strikes. The ship that left the dry dock was not fixed up. It was redesigned. Lincoln worked in the Red Sea 18 months ago. Iranian-backed Houthi forces fired rockets against commercial ships. Actual launches, real paths. Lincoln's strike group stopped them. A lot of kills. In a fight. This team knows how to spot an incoming missile on radar. The ship doesn't hesitate when it gets orders to sprint 4,500 nautical miles in 8 days, with the help of 2 Westinghouse A4W nuclear reactors. Speed is not the weapon. What is on the flight deck is Air Wing for Carriers 9, 75 planes, Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 314, or VMFA 314, is at its center, 10 F-35C stealth jets. But being stealthy in 2026 doesn't mean being invisible. Iran uses the Rezonans-NE VHF radar system, which was made in Russia. Rezonans-NE can show that something is there. It can't come up with a way to fire. Iran has to switch to high-frequency engagement radars like those that accompany the S-300 in order to fire. That's when the American kill chain starts to work. Electronic Attack Squadron 133, VAQ-133, EA-18G, Growlers with the ALQ-249 next-generation jammer. This is not noise blocking, it is digital trickery and frequency isolation. When Rezonans-NE tries to hand off to the S-300 fire control radar, the Growlers fill the link with fake returns and digital noise. Iran sees something, but can't shoot it. While this is going on, F-35 stay still. They use triangulation to find radar signals. The radar is what you want to hit. Coordinates are set. Weapons for standoff use deploy. Loadout optimized for the Gulf. Tomahawk can hit targets over 1,000 miles away. SM-3 can intercept things outside of the atmosphere. SM-6 is flexible for air defense and anti-ship. With cooperative engagement capability, One ship's radar helps another ship's missile find its target. Saturation is a key part of Iran's philosophy. 50 missiles at once. Aegis sorts things in seconds. Solutions for intercepts are assigned automatically. 40 go missing in the middle of the race. The last 10? Every radar that goes off becomes a target. There is a map of every launch point. That is math-based deterrence. The 18th of January. The Strait of Malacca. Lincoln moves through darkened ship regulations. Very few emissions. The formation is being followed by an Iranian merchant ship called Arvan, speeding up, writing down everything. The crew on the bridge sees it, gets it, and let it happen. Because concealment is not a deterrent, it is a demonstration. Tehran gets the information. 1 carrier, 3 destroyers. There are 75 planes. The Strait of Hormuz is now 21 miles wide. Every day, about 20% of the world's oil supply moves. Iran's A-to-AD strategy relies on hiding and saturation. Lincoln's air wing takes both apart. Before launch, F-35Cs find mobile missile batteries. E-2Ds keep an eye on everything all the time. Super Hornets put inland command nodes in danger. If Iran tries to close, they show their infrastructure. It doesn't last once it's out in the open. This is deterrence by refusal. The goal becomes impossible to reach. The oil moves. Not because the strain goes away, but the counterbalance beyond the horizon is clear. The sprint phase finished when Lincoln entered Fifth Fleet seas. The phase of positioning began. Carriers don't just float into areas where there is fighting. Every mile counts. Every maritime angle is figured out based on missile arcs, submarine transit channels, and aircraft refueling tracks. There isn't much water in the Persian Gulf. Limited. A lot of noise from commercial traffic. Before a fight starts, silence is up for debate. Air operations speed up within 48 hours. F-35C patrols work in pairs, with passive sensors on, and emissions being mapped across southern Iran. Every time a radar is turned on, it is logged. Every change in frequency is noted. Every electronic signature is stored. The growlers fly in patterns that are out of sync with each other, making a computerized map of interference windows that shows which areas can be blinded and for how long. This is a practice session with no announcement. The first strike package won't be making things up if things go worse. It will be carrying out a plan that has previously been tested. The pace picks up on the flying deck. The metric becomes sortie generation. A Nimitz-Class ship can launch and retrieve planes all the time, but it needs choreography to do so. Shirts that are yellow. Fuel crews and ordnance squads. The Lincoln's deck cycle gets tighter, with rotations every 90 minutes. Combat air patrol over the Strait of Hormuz. Electronic warfare escorts practicing how to get in. The E-2D Hawkeye is flying in circles at a high altitude, keeping a watch on everything. It is getting ready for backup plans. Lincoln's presence shortens the time it takes for both sides to make decisions. But compression is better for the side with better ISR. F-35CS flying unnoticed in contested airspace make things clear. They check the placements of the launchers before they can even give the go-ahead for the launch. That changes Iran's tactic from surprise to weakness. Lincoln's bridge has tight rules for controlling emissions and identifying people visually. The rules of interaction are clear. Escalation necessitates affirmative hostile intent. The strike group doesn't go too far. That self-control is not a sign of weakness. It is discipline that is backed up by a lot of response power. At the same time, global markets keep an eye on tanker movement. Hormuz sees 21 million barrels of oil pass through every day. The cost of insurance changes based on how risky something seems. Rumors affect the cost of goods. Lincoln's presence stabilizes more than just the military balance. It makes people more sure about the economy. Iran's coastal network would be quickly exposed if anyone tried to mine the Strait, swarm commercial shipping, or unleash missile salvos. The next time those vessels act aggressively, their electronic profiles will already be known. That is memory becoming an advantage. Logistics stays the same behind the scenes. Iran knows that its radar network is being mapped faster than it can move. When one side has an advantage in electronic warfare, it changes the psychological momentum. They can see the Americans. But they can't blind them. Why Lincoln? Because trust builds on itself. A hull redesigned for the 5th generation of conflict. A crew that has already stopped live missile threats. A ship that has been shown to be able to stay at sea for 295 days straight. When the world economy gets too small, you don't send potential, you send certainty. Lincoln wasn't easy. She was made for this moment. Her motto is, "Shall not perish." That goes beyond steel in the Persian Gulf. The right to free movement shall not die. Trade around the world will not die. 5,000 sailors and Marines keep an eye on 4.5 acres of U.S. territory at sea. If you were in charge of that attack group and Iranian radar lit up at full power, would you hit first and get rid of the threat for good? Or would you hold fire and keep the threat alive? Put your choice in the comments. Subscribe to Navy Recon. Because global stability often depends on movements you never see, and we decode them before they fade from the headlines.